Right then, welcome back. So how's it going? I'm just quickly sorting some imports out. So what I've done is in props, I just did right click and create a new folder. Here's my canon folder. And I'm going to import, I've just saved this as working noodle 2 as well. And I'm going to import our canon, which is just the low poly here. Now for my LOD group, I picked none, because I don't want it to calculate level of detail. I've also just clicked that it should calculate its own normals, and not clicked combine meshes for this one. I'll just click import, and I'll just close this down because I don't really need to worry about it. Because it's an old version of Filmbox, it hasn't actually included smoothing information. So obviously if you're using a newer version, it will do that. Now I'm just going to click and drag there, and there is our canon just sitting all proudly in our scene. And if I was to right click and play from here, you can see that our canon is now sitting in the scene, looking all canony like that. It's quite loud, isn't it? Now what I'm going to do is take away my canon for the moment, because I don't really need it, and instead I'm going to apply some textures to it. So if I just pull that up, as you can see, we don't actually have a collision box for it. If I turn that on, we can generate one quite quickly. So if I was to do something like let me see, this one here, an 18 DOP simplified collision, and then turn that on, you can see that we have this very simple collision box that's being calculated for it. We can kind of change it depending on how you feel. There's a 26 DOP, you see, which adds like slightly more detail to it. It depends kind of what you want. We're not going to need much more than that. Some other useful things you can do in this, by the way, are you can also look at your UVs if you want to, and your binormals and your tangents and your normals and stuff. So it's all very, very useful. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I want to let's see, go to mesh, just have a look at these. I want to generate some unique UVs, so I'll just click there, and I'm going to save them to UV channel 1 and just click apply, and this will generate some new UVs, and we need that for lighting information, you see, because when I made this I only actually created the one UV level. So because of that, now if I go here and click UVs, I can now switch between them, and you'll see we've got an auto-generated UV which is going to pick up our shadowing, and we've got our one that we already did ourselves. Okay, so this is going to make things considerably easier. Okay, you can also turn on and off the grid, and if there were sockets on this, which there are if you're doing spaceships, weapons, guns, things like that normally, then you'd see those too. Okay, so we've got some basic stuff here. Let's close that down. Now if I go to materials, and under here I'm going to create a new folder, which is our canon material, obviously. Right click, and I'm going to create a new material and call it canon material, like so. Okay, and if I just double click on it at the minute, give it a moment, you'll see that we have this really basic kind of nodal material that isn't doing anything. Okay, so there's nothing going on there. Now what we can do as well, if we see fit, is if I go here to my props, click my canon, and then here you'll see that we now can preview using the actual canon itself, which makes things a teeny bit easier, because we want to see what the material looks like on it. It's a pretty messed up kind of field of view, but you know, it's the way it goes. And then if we click save, that'll always be its preview. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do now is import some materials. Now, before I import some materials, if you've never used Quixel, NDO and DDO, this could be a good time to do so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up my Photoshop, which I happen to have here. And while Photoshop loads up, I'm going to save out this part, and I shall join you in the next bit. Actually, no, I won't. Bugger it. We'll just keep it going. I hate cuts. You hate cuts, don't you? Yeah, we can talk about the weather. It's kind of sunny. My dog's in here sniffing herself at the moment as well. Stop that, silly dog. And my coffee is quite warm. Nice though, very nice. Okay, so we have Photoshop just about open. Now then, I'm going to talk about a couple of things that we can do, because we're going to be using DDO, and probably NDO as well. I'd like to do it all from scratch. Now, if you remember in our previous things that we did, we created a normal map. We baked it out basically. So if I just go over to here to open, and that's my unwraps. Let's just find the stuff I need. That's a base slow diffuse map. That's our color map, and that's our other color map. So these are two color maps that I've used that basically, I'll just explain what I did. If I go over here to my scene of my actual gun itself and do a quick import, and import from the DDO folder, what you get is this, which is a selection of color swatches. Okay, so if I hit M, you'll see that all these colors here, okay, all have names like plastic rough, metal gun, metal plate, and so on and so forth. Now, if I assign these materials to my actual canon, which is just here, okay, so let's do that again, and then hit 0 and render a texture, and down here I was to add a simple diffuse map, then what we will get is one of these. Okay, so there's this, or there's also this one, which is a more brightly coloured one, and I was just using these more or less as tests. Now, this one here is properly assigned, so all these colours will be picked up by DDO and used. So what I'm going to do is just load up DDO, just here. Now with DDO, what I've used is the normal map that was generated through NDO, and so I'll show you that in a second once this is all finished kind of loading up, because there's quite a lot of stuff to do. So if I go over here and open again and go to my processed and game asset files, and you can see we've got a base load complete, base load diffuse, base load normals. Here we are, normals map. That's the one that's been fed through oh gosh, what do you call it again? It's been fed through handplane 3D, and then there's our base low specular, which is just nothing really. So if I was to take these four here, which are target maps, we can just have a look at them all. That one, don't want that, that's horrible. That one, well, that's just a terrible diffuse map, we'll not use that. Or that. So the ones we really are going to need are going to be this one and this one. So let's make a new texture base. Okay, so this is our project here. Doesn't really have a name, and what we're going to need to do is add, and I'm going to add my mesh. So if I just click on this, and here's my tri-low gun emplacement here, and then for my material here, this is my color map. Well, we know my color map is base low normals map max TGA. So if I just come down here, let's make sure I've got it. I think it's one of these ones. Base low diffuse map color TGA. Yep, that's it. So I'll just open that. Then tangent space. All I need to get going. So that is my normal, which is base low normals map dot max, which I believe is in here. Base low normals map max, that one. Okay, and I'll just keep it as it is. I can also add ambient occlusion, object space normal. Well, for that I can just put my normals map in. I don't need my curvature map really, because it'll automatically generate one. I've got a pre-made diffuse, so if I go in here, we can see if I've got anything useful. Probably let it generate its own, and everything else seems fine. So what I'm going to do now is just click the bake button, and this will take a minute or two. By a minute or two I mean it'll take several minutes. Luckily I have some more coffee on my desk. Now what you want to do while this is happening is invite people into the room and then just rattle on the keyboard. Okay, pretend you're doing all this. Okay, just pretend like you're mad clever at using filters and stuff. We're not. The guys at Quixel are mad clever at using filters and stuff, but you know, we can pretend. To be fair, like the stuff Quixel does is just insane. But I have much love for it, so that's cool. Nearly there. No, we're not actually. It's just started doing the next channel. What it's doing though is it's actually creating based on the materials that we've told it are on this. So I've told it some of it's steel, some of it's gunmetal, some of it's chrome, and depending on this, it's basically building the materials. Then it's going to build some wear into it, and if it doesn't build enough wear into it, that's fine, because we can add more wear as we go along. We can paint it on, we can do all sorts of things. But really, genuinely, you can kind of use this and come up with detail in just a matter of minutes that's literally ready to stuff into your game. It's very, very, very good. Nearly there. I know I got this twisted. I was in a rush. I'm sorry. I'll never be an artist. Okay, so now it's going to load the mesh up. It uses oh god, I can't remember the name of it. Oh, Marmoset. I believe it uses the Marmoset engine for previewing. So this won't take long. Meanwhile, we shall all listen to Jilted John. And this will kind of show us what it looks like. So there we go. That's basic. As you can see, it's assigned the normal maps and things to it, so that's good. It's very clean, isn't it? What a clean looking thing it is. You don't want it clean, do you? Right, let's have a look at and see how the different reflectivities do. Okay, that's fine. So, click region, edit materials. So, let's see. So I could go in here, for example. Okay, see where this material is here? Or this material here. Give it just a second, it's got to load them all up. So if I just click on these, it'll actually let me edit that material in real time. I can also change my global details, or I can add some presets. So for example, if I go here to load preset, at the minute we have quite a clean looking object. So what about if we wanted it to look a bit more dirty? Well, we could have some dirty fumes on it. And we could kind of choose how much to have. So let's just click some dirty fumes and click the D button, and that'll whack it into DDO. And then we just need to wait a little bit patiently while it does it. Good thing about this is that it means that you can come up with lots and lots of different kind of textures, different weathering and things like that, really kind of rapidly. And I know that the new add-ons that Quixel have got planned are going to make it even easier. I mean, if you can take a duffer like me who, you know, texturing for a colourblind guy is just a nightmare, and make it something that's actually fun, well, it's amazing. I have nothing but love for the guys at Quixel. Although this does sometimes take a little while, depending on how many details. If you notice, there's 180 details it's putting in there. And the good thing is that we can assign them as well individually by piece. So you want one piece that's got more wear than the others? That's not a problem. We can do that too. Screen goes little, screen goes big. Oop, nearly halfway. Halfway. Okay, we're nearly done. Look at that. It's been doing it for a while. I even paused for a bit and went off and did an oil painting. But it's nearly back. And once it's nearly back, we'll have some stuff, which is pretty cool. And then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of assemble this all up and build ourselves a very simple level. Right, so now if we have a look, you'll see there's slightly more dirt appearing on our model. Give it a second or two just to do the stuffs, as it were. Okay, and let's have a look. I can probably add a few more or just change the global details if I want to. So if I go to my global group and add detail to the entire texture, and now what I can do is I can perhaps do a little bit of let's see, we don't want coarse linen, do we? There's lots of lovely things here, so we'll go to mechanical and we'll do some edge chips like that. Add a little bit of randomness to it, so we just have to bring that up, raise the level of chips a little bit, and the scale, just bring that up. Okay, and it'll decide what we can have them on, so we'll put them on the height as well, and just click D. And now what it'll do is it'll recalculate this and it'll put the chips in. Just give it a moment or two, and you can see they're starting to appear on the map. Okay, which will kind of make our model a bit more, well, less pretty, but certainly more gritty, which is kind of what we're looking for. Yeah. Okay, I like the edge chips. We can add another detail to it. Let's add some flow scratch. We can just up the level on flow scratch and the scale and increase the edge fatness. Keep the angle bias the way it is. And again, we'll just apply it to the tangent space too. Give it a minute or two just to run itself out. Shouldn't take too long. And as you can see, things are starting to appear now in the various parts down here. As we apply more and more kind of dirty old details to it, things start to pick up a bit. Okay, now what could we add to this again? Well, see what we got. Paint panels. We can have paint panels and edgeware. We'll have paint panels. Just up the level a bit again. And click the big button to generate it. And you can see it's all kind of going on down here now. Give it a few. There we go, and that's looking much muckier now down the bottom there. It's excellent. If we just zoom in now, you can see there's gatherings of dirt and just general wear and tear starting to appear. Excellent. Now we can turn off colour mode if we want to just work by material. Let's see, is there anything else I want to add to this? There probably is. Also I can kind of pull back on the global detail if I choose to. I'm just going to stop that. Oh, it's doing it anyway. Hang on a second. Let it finish. I'm going to click and add some detail. And I want some heavy edges because I haven't got any of those yet. Just let it finish, calculate itself out. So heavy edges and click go. There we go. And I think I could probably do with adding more of those, but I'll just go into it and add it in a minute. There's the heavy edges here, and the thing is we can adjust all of these as we go along. I'm just going to make things a lot easier. So I can just open that out, and we can see that it'll affect the height if we wanted to, as much or as little as we choose. And what I might do is add another one of those to it once this is finished doing its thing. And what I can do as well is I can even use a different diffuse map, but use these as the heights and things, just to work out, you know, how chipping and things is going to go. And what this will do is, as well, I can export the maps at any time. So, okay, so let's just export these ones. So, if I just quick export, and it'll only export selected maps. So let's see, we'll just click show height as well. There you go, you can see from all the different things we can go and look at the different maps. There's the glossiness. It'll recalculate the normals for our nice heavy scratchings and things, and there's our specular. And then our diffuse. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just quick export, selected checked maps only. And that will get them all saved out. Just give it a moment. Nearly done. I think it might be. Well, that's good news. Okay, and then if I just close down my previewer and this, and if I just go to open here and just go to my details and just change the date on this, there we go. So what it's done now is it's created this new folder here called Base Low Normals Map DDO3. Okay, if I go in here, it's created all the different maps that we're going to use. So we've got our base low normals, we've got our all our ones here basically. There's our specular, our normal, and our diffuse. Okay, and then over here, all the other stuff as well. So if I was to just close these down now, and it's up to you if you want to save them or not, and then go to open, and go in here. Okay, and just open those. You can see that we now have these as our 3 textures, including our diffuse here. Now remember what I said, if you want to add a little bit more kind of sparkle to this, then what I can do is go and find our original map that I created a while ago. Here we are, here's base work, and then I can go to image and take off that background. Let me see, I want to copy everything, so Control A, edit, copy merged, then close it. And then if I come back in here and do a Control V, and that'll kind of paint it over the top of this, and we start to get our details in. Do that, and then a Control S, and it'll save our file. And now we have this, our normal, and our specular. Okay, like so. So that's a good start. And if we want to create anything else from this, we can quite easily. So for example, if I was to take this one and I wanted a nice height map created from it or something like that, I could also load up Endio. So I'll do that in the next section.